What is up, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new deck profile. I'm going to be updating some decks I haven't updated in a long time. I'm going to be doing Crusadia soon in the future, but this is a deck I've done before on the channel and recently wanted to update. I was going to update this deck after Dual Power came out, which was a few months ago, but never got around to it because I actually did pull like 4 cards of Demise. And yeah, just really wanted to get a profile of this up ever since, because it is a really awesome control deck, budget deck for the most part, with all the reprints and stuff. There is no extra deck I'm including with this. You can play a full 15 card extra deck. I would recommend playing cards like at least these two, which I guess I would consider that I am playing in the extra deck, is Lagia and Dolka, although you can play Pot of Extravagance in here. I'm not playing it in this particular build because of, price ranges and things like that. Although it is definitely something you could play in here, although I probably wouldn't play it at maybe more than 1 or 2, because I think Demise fits better in here. But yeah, if you're interested in any of the sleeves that I'm using or the playmat that I'm using here in this video, the Thunderstorm playmat, 2-player cloth playmat, as you know, we're sponsored by Imperium Duelist, and you can check them out down in the description below. Now you can use that discount code to save 10% off on future purchases on all your future orders and things like that. So check them out. Helps you guys save a little money and helps support me in the process, while you guys get some great products out of it as well. So to start, we'll start with the monsters. There isn't that many monsters. The first one is Phantasm Spiral Dragon. This is the one of the main requirements for the whole deck. It's a very important card, although you really only want to run 1 copy of it because it can brick. We do play lots of cards that can summon out of our hand, deck, and grave. So like, we're not really too worried about whether we draw this card, whether we don't see this card, because we have plenty of ways to tutor it out of the deck and ways to get it back out of the graveyard after it is sent there, etc., etc. So this is a very good one of. I've seen some builds play 2. That's perfectly viable, but I like, for consistency's sake, just going with the 1 copy of the Phantasm Spiral Dragon. In case you couldn't guess it already, this deck is completely based around normal monsters. So it's very, very, very cool. Then we have 3 copies of Megalo Smasher X, primarily just because he's a Manila. We need to play non-effect monsters in the main deck here, and he also has 2,000 attack, so pretty good stats there. And then we also play 2 copies of Sabersaurus. I'm sure there's other Manila level 4 monsters that you can play in here. I think like Kabul's is another one. I believe it's water, so it can work better with Megalo Smasher if you want to like make like a cheeky Bahamut Shark or something like that, or an Abyss Dweller or a Mastar Boy. You technically could. It's just not really going to come up ever, just based on the nature of this deck and how you play it as a control deck. You're never ever really going to want to go into the extra deck unless it's in a very niche situation. And I'll post at the end of the video sort of like a mock-up extra deck and side deck that I would put with this, because I don't really have one built at the moment for this particular deck, but I will show you guys a sort of a mock-up one at the end. So yeah, that is it for the monsters. A whopping 6 monsters in the main deck, all Manila monsters, non-effect monsters. And this is also a deck that will mesh very well with the 10E cards coming out, I believe, in Rising Rampage, which we're getting in a month or 2, a couple months, I'm not sure, because that is a deck based around non-effect monsters. I was gonna wait for them to update it, but I figured I'd go ahead and update it now since it's already been so long since the last one. So now we will go into the spells, and to start we have 3 Card of Demise. This is an amazing draw spell in here. It does restrict us from special summoning the turn that we activate this, but that really doesn't make too big of a difference. It allows us to draw until we have 3 cards in our hand, and also for the rest of this turn. After it resolves, our opponent takes no damage, and during the end phase we send our entire hand to the graveyard, and you can only activate 1 per turn, cannot special summon, all that stuff. So it's much like True Draco. True Draco, getting a lot of traps, setting in the field, playing this as an extender, drawing more cards, setting more things, rarely ever having to discard. Obviously, in the most optimal situations, you won't have to discard. You will have to discard sometimes, but draw power is key. And I like Card of Demise, but obviously when you play Extravagance, it sort of locks you into like only, you know, resolving 1 draw card per turn. Although I would probably go like maybe 2 Card of Demise and an Extravagance, but like I said, this is a more budget-friendly version. So if you don't want to pay the money for Extravagance, Card of Demise works perfectly well as a substitute for that. Next, we have 3 copies of Heatwave, probably your most powerful stun card in the entire deck. This is a card that is very similar to Extravagance in the fact that you have to activate it at the start of your main phase. And basically what it does is that neither player can normal or special summon an effect monster until your next draw phase. So this will completely shut your opponent off from monster effects until the next turn, which is incredible because like that allows you to get far ahead and they get really, really far behind. So seeing this card is nice. Then we play Triple Pot of Duality. We don't really ever special summon in this deck unless it's off our field spell, which is usually happening during our opponent's turn. So, you know, Demise or Duality aren't ever really going to counteract with it in that sort of negative interaction. I'm sure it could come up at some point, but the draw power and the positives that outweigh the bad, in my opinion. So Triple Duality. And then arguably the most important spell in the entire deck is Pacifist the Phantasm City. Also treated as Umi in the very first line of text, but this card basically states that you cannot normal or special summon effect monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effects. So this is the reason why the extra deck is pretty much negligible, and maining any other main deck effect monsters is also negligible. And you want this card to resolve as often as possible. So you're always going to opt to play this card over any other extra deck monster or effect monster that you would be willing to play in a deck like this. But then the other effect is once per turn, if you normal or special summon exactly 1 normal monster and no other cards, add 1 Phantasm Spiral card from your deck to your hand. And if your opponent activates a card or effect except during the damage step, and you control no tokens, you can special summon 1 Phantasm Spiral token, Worm type, Water, level 8, attack 2000, defense 2000. So basically on normal summon, if a non-effect monster is normal or special summon, or a normal monster is normal or special summon, you get to add a Phantasm Spiral card, which is great, especially since the cards we'll get to later. And then if our opponent activates a card or effect, we get to special summon a token, which can also trigger that effect of the field spell if we haven't used it already that turn. You know, use it once during our turn, search, their turn, they activate any monster effect, token hits the board, we get another search. And the token can only be summoned while you control no tokens, but we do have a way of clearing that token as one of our traps, so we can keep reusing that effect as much as we need to. Yeah, so triple pacifist, double painful decision. Sometimes you don't open your monsters, and as you see, this card here is important. You know, having a normal summon to go with Pacifist is important, so just being able to search one of our normal summons is pretty good. Send a level 4 lower normal monster from our deck to the graveyard, and if you do add 1 card with the same name as that card from your deck to your hand, you can only activate 1 painful decision once per turn. I like this card. I know some builds don't play it, but I think it's a pretty good choice in your deal to play to search out your normal summons, which is helpful. Double terraforming, obviously, to search out the field spell, something you're definitely going to want. Then we have 2 Phantasm Spiral Grip, part of the main Phantasm Spiral engine. We have the 2 Grip and then the 1 Crash. These cards are very important for basically winning the game, your win con, so to speak, to go into that big normal monster we played earlier, the Spiral Dragon. It says equip only to a normal monster, it gains 500 attack, and when the equipped monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon Phantasm Spiral Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and equip it with this card, then inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So you basically equip it to, like, let's say your Megalo Smasher, it kills something by battle, and then you activate this effect to summon the Spiral Dragon from your deck, equip it with it, that's going to gain 500, bring it up to 34, your opponent takes 1,000, and then you can swing with that card subsequently. So very, very good card to have. Then we have Crash, which says equip only to a normal monster. If the equipped monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. When the equipped monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can special summon the Spiral Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard and equip it with this card. You can change the attack of one monster your opponent controls to the defense position. You can only use this effect of Phantasm Spiral Crash once per turn. So you inflict piercing, summon out the Spiral Dragon. that effect activates, you can turn something else to defense to do more piercing, etc., etc., and it comes out at we come out at 2900, so definitely lots of opportunities for piercing damage there. So that is it for the spells. Quite a few spells here, but very important spells nonetheless. Nonetheless, I should say. And now going into the traps here, we'll start with arguably the best trap in the entire deck. This is Phantasm Spiral Power. Basically built-in impermanence for the deck. No need to play impermanence itself in here. This card itself basically is impermanence. Says if all monsters you control are normal monsters, minimum 1, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. It loses 1,000 attack and defense. Also, it has its effects negated. Then it says if Umi is on the field, or our pacifist card, which is treated as Umi, you can activate this card from your hand. So basically during your opponent's turn, they activate a card effect. Let's say they activate Sky Striker Ace Ray. The field spell would activate. We get a token. We get to search this. Now we have an impermanence in our hand that we now can activate because we control the token and we control the field spell. So very, very strong card. And then these has a graveyard effect as well. It says you can banish this card from your graveyard to the target a normal monster you control. Equip 1 Phantasm Spiral equip spell card from your hand or graveyard to that normal monster. So helps recycle your equip spells too, which is nice. So they're not just one and done. Then we have triple Phantasm Spiral Battle. This card is very similar to the first card. If we control all monsters that are normal, and we can target one card opponent controls, destroy it. And then if Umi's on the field, we can activate it from our hand. So it's like a Ghost Ogre from our hand, basically. And then we can banish it from our graveyard to target a normal monster and equip it with a Phantasm Spiral equip spell that we control to it. So it allows us to transfer what our equip target is. So very, very helpful for moving equip cards around. Then 3 Metaverse. Metaverse was is a card that's something I've always wanted to play in here. It's very good for if they clear your field spell, you can just bring up another one because you do want to keep resolving that field spell and keep it on your field as long as you can, because it definitely helps you gain advantage. This has made me think about playing Mystic Mine, but I despise that card. I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. But Mystic Mine is definitely an option you could play in here if you get behind. You could easily play 1 copy of Mystic Mine in here and just use it to completely slow your opponent down for a few turns in order for you to gain advantage. So I'm not playing Mystic Mine, although that is an option for you guys to play if you wanted to play it or you're thinking about playing it. That is a perfectly fine option. So Mystic Mine is something you can play. Then moving on, we have 3 copies of Solemn Strike. It's just a fantastic counter trap to play. I think Solemn Strike is actually pretty decent in this format. Lots of hand traps being activated, so tons of negations there. Great card for interruption all around. Only 1,500 life points to pay is not that bad, and it's a die-hard going first deck, so the more interruptions we can open in our hand is the better thing to have. And then one of the best traps in the deck, although not too good where we want to play 3, just because that would brick, is Sea Stealth Attack. This card is awesome. It says when this card is activated, you can activate 1 Umi from your hand or to your graveyard. So if they do happen to get rid of your field spell with a Ghost Ogre or something, or a Twin Twist or whatever it may be, you can activate this to bring it right back if you don't have something like Metaverse. And then its other effect is once per turn, you can banish a water monster you control until the end phase. This turn, face-up spells and traps you control cannot be destroyed by an opponent's card effect, even if this card leaves the field. So the important thing here is while you have your field spell and that token is on the field, you cannot summon another token to search another card because you already have a token. But what Sea Stealth Attack allows you to do is to banish that token, simultaneously protecting all your spells and traps from destruction, and allows your field spell to activate once again to summon another token. And that's not all. This card also says at the start of the damage step, if your water monster whose original level is 5 or higher battles an opponent's monster, destroy that opponent's monster. So basically just makes all your level 5 or higher monsters, i.e. your token or your Spiral Dragon, just be able to run over anything because of a Sea Stealth Attack. So very, very great card for the deck. And then last but not least, in a trap heavy deck, what other trap could it be that's continuous? It is Skill Drain. Skill Drain, we play no effects, so we don't care. Skill Drain fits perfectly in here. So that is it for the traps. And the extra deck I will go ahead and show on the screen right now, as well as the side deck here momentarily. But like these are probably the only 2 cards, Lagia and Dolka, that I would consider maining like 100% cards that I would play, you know, despite what other cards I throw in the extra deck down below here. Logi and Dolka would be the only things that come up, just because you can make them with the either Megalo Smasher or the Sabersaurus, and just go into this for you know, Solemn Warning or Judgment, or just, you know, multiple monster negations. These are the only cards that I would opt to play ideally. Everything else really doesn't matter, and especially if you're going to play a build with the Extravagance in here, like I would probably just say cut a copy of either Duality, or not Duality, but where is it? Card of Demise. It's in here somewhere. I'd probably cut a copy of Card of Demise for that Extravagance if you already got some, or maybe you could do 2 and 2 and cut something else. Maybe cut a Solemn Strike for that Extravagance, because Extravagance can work really well in here. Just it's I guess in some cases it can be a better Demise, but Demise can really allow you to draw some cards, and especially draw into more like counter traps and just more interruptions. And you also don't have to play it at the start of your turn, or the Demise you don't have to play at the start of your turn. And Extravagance can, I guess, can conflict with Heat Wave, which can be weird sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Phantasm Spartles, I think this is a great rogue deck. If you've never played this deck, I would highly recommend giving it a chance. I remember the one night I played it on stream for the first time as a part of a random deck week, and I played it, fell in love with the strategy. A really awesome control deck based around normal monsters, which is always cool to see. Normal monsters destroying some of the best decks of the format. And yeah, so that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Check out Imperium Duelist if you haven't already. Drop me a like if you haven't already, and also leave me a comment down below as well. And yeah, as always, guys, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you in the next one.